So the name of the video is Valve shows customers, AAA shows money. Now look. Oh, I can already tell how this is going.
We already knew that the way Valve operates is completely different to the way every other gaming company operates, but we
But
also
yeah,
just learned that the way Valve makes money is
yeah. The thing is, Valve is making games for the players, and Steam is made for the users. It's not made to oh, how to say it. It's not made to make you buy stuff. It just presents you stuff that you can buy if you want to. Unlike other, um, you know, stores of like Blizzard store, they completely throw shit in your face. Oh yeah, buy this, buy this, buy this, and you have zero interest in it. Like I mean, sure, I bought the War Within and played it for a couple of weeks. And even in this couple of weeks, it was fun playing it with one character, and then it got tedious. And that one character, I got it to max level in a weekend, which for me is fast. And no thanks. I'm not gonna buy any Blizzard games anymore. Blizzard is just done for me, completely, completely done. Which is sad. I really liked Blizzard games back in the day, but they have fallen completely. They're done. Blizzard is at the point where old Blizzard fans, that really like their games, don't care anymore, which is really sad.
also completely different from the way all these other gaming companies make money. Think about it. What do all these gaming companies want in the first place? Recurring revenue. It's the siren song of big gaming. Every major player has decided that the sole sustainable way to stay afloat is to keep you on their teat. Some choose
Yeah,
subscriptions, Xbox Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, and
yeah,
EA Play. Even companies you don't think of as gaming giants, Netflix and Amazon, they are scrambling to get their piece of the subscription gaming
yeah.
pie too. Or, of course, there's the endless drip feed of microtransactions in every live service game from Call of Duty to Marvel.
The thing with microtransactions is, if it's just skins, I'm completely fine with it, because they're just skins. You don't have to buy them. You don't have to. Now, if you look at GGG and how they handle their microtransactions, their money making um, with their games, which is Path of Exile 1 and 2. And there's only one type of thing where you actually get a benefit from, if an actual benefit from, if you buy it, and that is stash tabs. Which, sure, you can argue, oh, that's pay to win. It's not really. You can play the game without that, but it's very inconvenient. Like, very inconvenient. You have 4 stash tabs per standard, and if you just play through the campaign, it's completely fine. Completely fine. If you only have one character, it's completely fine. Even if you play more than the campaign, go into the actual end game, kill bosses and stuff like that, it's completely fine. Now, if you really, really do a lot, like if you have several characters and you're pushing all the bosses, you want to buy more stash tabs, and the specific stash tabs like currency stash tab, which is, by the way, I think the most important stash tab they have, because you will get so much currency which you need for crafting that you want to have that, because you can have one stack of a currency item that's 4,500 or 5,000 items. And in a normal stash tab, you can get only stacks of 30. So this 5,000 5,000 stack of items would almost take an entire stash tab. Well, it would. No, it's even more than one. So it's very, very easier and more convenient to have the stash tab for the currency than put it all in the 4 stash tabs. So, and the rest of their money making is, um, cosmetics, which a lot of times look really nice. I'm more a fan of the, keep it low, not too big stuff. I don't like the big stuff. It's just not my thing. But a lot of things I really like. Um, yeah, that was my ramble about that.
Rivals. Unlike the one time purchase of a game, microtransactions are designed for repeated and often impulsive small scale purchases. But whatever poison they pick, the end goal of big gaming is the same: to make you a continuous source of their revenue. But we also just found out that Valve is one of the richest companies in the world, at least when measured by employee, even richer than Netflix and Apple, and they went in a completely different direction than the rest of the industry. Or did they? That's what we're going to explore today. We're going to talk about what makes Valve so much money, how rich they truly are, and we're going to uncover the surprising truth about how their unique approach, fundamentally different from the rest of the industry, has quietly built them an empire. So let's get into it. Steam is
Well, I would think one of the things is that they actually, but that Steam is literally made to be easy to use, unlike all the other front stores of EA, Ubisoft, ugh, you know. And I have zero problems using Steam. Well, maybe I can find some things in the menu that's because I don't use it. Like how to refund a game. I did that maybe not even 5 times, and I'm on Steam since its beginning in 2004, so 21 years. I don't even know if they had a refund policy back then. I guess they would have, but they've also only had their own games on it. You know.
by far Valve's biggest moneymaker, but it's unlike any other digital store we've seen, and that has a lot to do with us. We are the reason Valve is so rich because we
Yes.
are willing to build a backlog even more so than players on other platforms, at least according to one market analyst, Chris Zakowski, in his recent blog post that is now making the rounds. I've read through this post a few times, and personally, I think he nails it. He says that Steam's remarkable success, especially for indie developers, stems from super die-hard hobbyists. In his
Yes.
post, Zukowski states that basically hobbyists buy stuff not because they actually want to consume it, but because they are collecting it. He goes on to cite
Hmm. That's interesting. Never thought about that when it comes to games. But then again, back in the day, I literally had all the packages of my games on underneath my desk. Like back in the day when I show you. Stupid share. This. Yeah. Half-Life 1. This was the standard. Ugh. Oh shit! I think I have to actually throw it away. I think it's rotting. Crap. Yeah. This was the standard package in the 90s and in the early 2000s. And it's awesome. Like you would say, oh my god, what's in it? Well, CD, of course, it's CD, a booklet, and sometimes these things literally had value for collectors. And the booklets that they had in it, that they had story in it. I remember for Zelda games or something like that, The booklets had the enemies in it and the short description of them. The booklet for Half-Life 1 had I some lore about Freeman in it. I don't exactly remember what it was. I think it was the answer to his application at Black Mesa. I think that's what it was, but I'm not sure. I've read it once. And share's dying. I need a new share. And I had about 40 of these packages and I threw them all away. Even the ones from Warcraft 3 and StarCraft. It's really sad. It was some of my favorites.
Data that the median Steam player has more than half of their collection unplayed. He likens this
Wow.
phenomenon to sundoku, which is a Japanese term that refers to the act of buying books and letting them pile up, knowing that you're not going to have the time to read them. He goes on to say that
That's basically my mother. I think my mother had about 1,000 books. She didn't read them all, of course not.
behavior is consistent across various hobbies like Lego and Warhammer. Now, this phenomenon makes so much sense to me, and it's fascinating to consider that Valve strategically amplifies it, even more so with the Steam Deck. For decades, PC gamers have had the luxury of buying games with the confidence that they could play them someday, even years down the line, because they could always upgrade their PC and play that library.
Yes.
The Steam Deck has really supercharged this mentality, right? Now that massive backlog isn't just for someday at your desk, it's for someday anywhere. It's a powerful psychological pull, making even more games feel like viable purchases, directly fueling our collection habit. And I think this whole backlog strategy is entirely by design on Valve's part, and it's not just Steam helping indies, but also the other way around. By my recollection, people didn't want, but instead just tolerated Steam, at least for a long time. Back in the
Yes, I absolutely agree. Because back in I only installed Steam and literally got the internet for Half-Life 2. That was the only reason. I went out when Half-Life 2 came out. I bought it, I installed it, and then I had to install Steam, and then it needed an internet connection. I was angry. I was really angry. But I got my internet connection. I got AOL. Living in Germany, got an AOL, and I got, my Steam account, and activated Half-Life 2, verified all the data, which took I don't know how long it took, maybe 10 hours, maybe longer. I was online with a 56K modem. That was in 2004. Hilarious. It was so bad. It was so bad. And then of course I also played Counter-Strike Source. Wow. With a 250 ping on a server in Germany, in Europe, which all is just to the 56K line. Horrible.
early 2000s, PC gaming was seen as plagued with piracy, and yet still, PC gamers were simultaneously unwilling to part with their physical copies. The fact that Half-Life 2 required a Steam login to play was seen as a betrayal. But Valve proved that they were willing to make this worth our while. Steam ushered in convenience that we hadn't seen before in gaming, but it shouldn't be understated that over the coming years, Steam also brought two new things with it: amazing holiday sales that actually offered even better discounts than today's Steam sales, and indie games that at the time you really couldn't find on other platforms. Once upon a time, Steam sales offered up entire catalogs at deep discounts so you could buy.
Wow. Valve Complete Pack, all Valve games for £25. That's wow. That's massive.
like every Square Enix game on Steam, for under $100 total. And they would have flash sales that only lasted a few hours but offered the deepest discounts of all. Given the nature of PC gaming, especially in contrast to console gaming, Steam players felt confident that they could build up their huge catalog and have time to play these games
Yes.
someday. Like I said, you can upgrade your PC years down the line and your games are still going to be playable, at least for the most part. Although the old Steam sales were better overall, the advent of Steam key sites like Indie Gala, Green Man Gaming, and others created an enhanced FOMO culture around getting the best possible bargain for games. Savvy consumers were using deal
To be fair, I think Steam is the best marketplace for games. I at least haven't seen any better one. Maybe GOG is as good, but I don't have a GOG account. I haven't looked into it. To be fair, I didn't. Maybe I should.
trackers like istthereanydeal.com by comparing not only to previous sales, but comparing to all previous sales on all PC marketplaces, and even tracking whether or not a game has been in a bundle. Historical low became a new, easy metric to know that you were, in fact, getting a good deal. At the same time that Steam sales were blowing up, Xbox was spearheading the indie game movement with XBLA's Summer of Arcade events. But Xbox was hampered by its stringent certification process, high patching costs, and a much more curated approach to publishing.
Yeah, that's also a problem. For consoles, the developers have to pay to have patches on for their games done, published, and you have to the console companies have to approve every patch. Why? I don't know. Maybe they get the off to that. That's the only reason I can see.
This allowed Steam to rapidly gain ground and eventually overshadow XBLA as the primary destination for groundbreaking indies. 2010 to 2012 represented a huge growth period. There was suddenly a surge of innovative indie titles that you could primarily or only find on Steam.
Well, yes, because no other storefront wants to sell them, or they are so convoluted and so strict that it makes no sense to even apply.
The Binding of Isaac was a title developed on Flash, and so it couldn't be ported to consoles for a long time. Space Chem was a programming puzzle game that didn't make much sense without a mouse or touch interface. Terraria
Okay.
melded Minecraft with pixel art and became one of the best-selling indies ever. Dear Esther was pivotal in what we today call walking simulators, and even a game like Hotline Miami was exclusive to PC for about 8 months. This reputation for being home to indies became amplified with the advent of Steam Greenlight and eventually a completely open game submission process. Together, a seemingly
Yeah, but that also led to a lot of literal trash being on Steam. Like trash. Things that aren't that you even can't even call games. I remember some games where they were called out that basically they were just stealing, using stuff they find on the internet as textures. Not that, and with literally, I mean, they use a Google search for blood textures or something like that, and then they take just a picture that they find.
endless catalog of games combined
And the games are complete buggy and unbalanced, and the design of the levels is trash and all of that, you know.
with a FOMO culture around sales drove us hobbyists to buy up games that it turns out we wouldn't have time to play. And a number of games released to Steam each year compounded, which only exacerbated the trend. This ultimately cemented Steam's dominance as the primary collecting platform, and it fueled ever-growing backlogs that would become Valve's unique revenue stream. It's funny too, because Valve making money from me or you building a backlog kind of spits in the face of what nearly every other major player is desperately chasing, the
Yeah.
subscription. And there's a reason subscriptions are so attractive to these major players. Research shows that loss aversion, decision fatigue, and the default effect all play a key role in convincing the human brain that staying subscribed is just the easier choice when compared to canceling your subscription. Loss aversion says that humans are generally more motivated to avoid a loss than to acquire an equivalent gain, and this
Yeah.
cognitive bias has been exploited by marketing departments for decades. Likewise, humans are constantly bombarded with decisions they have to make throughout the day, and decision fatigue dictates that navigating a cancellation process adds to a mental burden, and so it's easier to.
Yes, that's true. And the thing is, the companies make it a burden. Like when I cancel all the time when I cancel my subscription to WoW, World of Warcraft, for the ones who don't know, um, I have to go through several steps, and then they're asking me for a reason why I unsubscribe. Why are you asking me that? Just leave me alone. Why is that? Or they make it really, really hard to even find the option to unsubscribe. Like with Amazon Prime. Have you ever tried to unsubscribe to Amazon Prime? Where to find it? It's really hard. It's almost impossible to find the unsubscribe for Amazon Prime. I'm personally only subscribed to Amazon Prime when I got it offered for free. You know, being smart. But finding the unsubscribe, it's really hard. Like, oh my god, it's really hard. And currently, I have 0 subscriptions at all. Like 0, there's none. But I'm, of course, subscribed to my, internet provider, of course. But that is different.
To just not. And then there's the default effect. Subscriptions are typically set to auto renew, and customers have to manually opt out if they want to cancel. Here, studies show that subscribers are more likely to renew if the subscription is automatically set to do so. Kind of obvious,
Well, yeah, because they forget to unsubscribe.
right? Now, there is a lot of nuance that I'm leaving out of these high level descriptions of different cognitive biases. For example, auto renew doesn't seem to benefit the corporation in the long term, but these corporations do seem more interested in the short term.
Well, yeah, that's all they're interested in. That's all they are interested in.
So maybe that's the explanation there. Nonetheless, subscriptions aren't a magic pill to making money either. You have to convince the customer to subscribe in the first place. And despite those cognitive biases, people will eventually unsubscribe if you're not offering them something new. These subscriptions face another hurdle too. They're competing with the entire attention economy. Netflix's competition isn't just Disney and HBO Max, it's also TikTok and YouTube. Even just the act of doom scrolling takes time that could be spent watching the latest episodes of your favorite show.
Yes.
And mind you, there's only so many hours in a day, days in a week, and weeks in a year. Content is being released so frequently that it's impossible to watch every show you want to watch and play every game you want to play. This could
Yes.
present a problem for Game Pass, which relies on you actually spending time playing video games to justify the monthly cost. Valve ends up sidestepping this entirely. Here's a quote from the Chris Zukowski piece about this.
Yes, the thing is, with the subscription to Xbox Game Pass is you get a lot of games that you don't even care about it. But it only is worth it if you play games that you get for your subscription. For Valve, if you pay more than the $5 for a game that you actually want. If you don't play it right now, you want to play it later, for whatever reason. That's completely fine. But you are actually paying more for something you want than for something that you don't want.
Very subject. It says, Valve cracked a problem that Netflix was struggling with. How do you sell to people who have so much entertainment at their fingertips that they don't have enough hours in a day to play and watch it all? Valve basically added infinite hours to a gamer's day. It's a theoretical future day where gamers might someday spend hours playing your game, but
I mean, you could theoretically buy all those games while you are in your working age and play them when you're retired. I mean, theoretically, you can do that if you reach that age. If you are a man, you might not.
Let's be honest, won't. This is precisely why Valve doesn't have to worry about subscriptions. They don't have to try to get you to pay every month. They know that if they provide a quality service and enough convenience, you're going to come back to grow your catalog of games that you think you're going to play someday. I see this as a
Yes,
sort of quiet confidence from Valve. It's like they're saying, we don't need you to commit to paying a monthly fee. We know you're going to come back for more. That
yes.
confidence illustrates a
The thing is, if I play War Thunder. War Thunder is one of those, you know, come back to me every day games. I log in over Steam, so I'm on Steam every day because I log into War Thunder, get my chest, get my whatever reward, and I'm on Steam every day. I, of course, also play other games like Path of Exiles 1 and 2, and I'm on Steam every day. I actually have a wish list with about, I don't know, 20 games. Did I buy them? No, because I'm short on money. That's one of the main reasons why I don't buy a lot of games. I'm short on money. Not short on time, short on money. But I'm on Steam every day. I have zero problems with being on Steam every day because Steam is not invasive. Steam doesn't come to me, oh, buy this, buy this. Unless it's something I have on my wish list, then they come, oh yeah, this is reduced in price. Wanna buy it? That's the only time.
contrast to other gaming corporations who scramble for money feels like trickery more often than not. Consider AAA companies that offer 3 days advance access to a new release. It doesn't add anything of real value.
Which is, number one, is stupid. Number one, yes, it doesn't give you any value. Number two, if the game actually releases, there is a patch with a lot of bug fixes. So basically, if you get 3-day early access, you're playing a worse version of the game because the day one patch hasn't been out yet, and you're paying extra for that. Why? Because you're stupid. It's a stupid tax. That's all it is. And I've paid that price too. The last game is it the last game? No, I don't think so. I bought Rise of the Tomb Raider as early access. Wait, early access? No, but I pre-ordered it on Steam because I like the first one so much. I really really loved the game. I really think it's great. I hate Rise of the Tomb Raider with a passion. I hate the story. The story is so bad. It's incredible how bad it is. The people that wrote the story should never have a job at writing anything ever again. That's how bad the story is. I'm on a side tangent. Let's go back to the video.
It's just a quick way to monetize your impatience. Full price AAA games that launch in what feel like an unfinished state just represent a breach of trust with the customer.
But yes, why would I pay $70 for an unfinished game with a lot of bugs? That's not even really fun because it's mediocre. Let's be fair. AAA games are slop with nice cutscenes. And with nice cutscenes, I mean they're done well. But they're written badly because the writers are retarded. Every like the game we are seeing right here
Willing to forgive
looks better than this scene has more heart to it than the entirety of the last Assassin's Creed, Shadow of the whatever with the Black Samurai. This has more soul to it. This looks more intriguing to me. This looks more fun to me. because I already know what the Assassin's Creed game is. It's just an Ubisoft game. Ubisoft games are all the same, and I have played several of them. So I already played the last Assassin's Creed, because it's the literal same as all of the Ubisoft games. So I don't care. It's as simple as that.
Bugs, but past a certain point, you're asking us to buy the promise of a game that'll be good eventually. Gaming corps are constantly.
Did you see the animations? They're so nice. They're nicely done. And yes, I'm completely on the side tangents and don't even listening to the guy. Which is bad because he makes really good points.
Constantly pushing for more, often at the expense of value or trust. And here comes Valve saying, if you want more, feel free. If not, that's cool. Now, that's not to say it's all good. At the top of the video, I drew a contrast from the backlog model to subscriptions and to microtransactions. I also said that microtransactions are designed for repeated and often impulsive small-scale purchases. Plot twist, when I think about my backlog purchases, they too feel a lot like a bunch of impulsive small scale purchases.
Yes, because a lot of times they are. But your small scale purchases are entire games that are finished and being patched. They aren't just skins for a game that will be shut down if the player base dies out because they are bored with it.
I've had times where I am more responsible or less responsible, but when I look at my purchases more historically, they're not exactly rational. I buy games because they're on sale and I expect to play them later this year, or maybe
Yes,
just because it's made by a developer that I want to support. And then there are certainly times where I bought games just because I got 10 titles for $10 and I thought,
well, yeah, that happens too. I have Forest of the what? Let's look at it. What is it? Ori? Something Ori. And I have both versions. Of course I do. Can't find it yet because I'm too drunk. Oh god, yeah, I have PUBG. How many hours do I have in PUBG? Doesn't say. Last time played in 2020. That's a while ago. Rising Storm Vietnam. Last play 2024. Why doesn't say the hours? Because it's not installed? Might be. I got a System Shock demo. Never played it. Oh Jesus. Um, where is it? I literally can't find it. What now? Let, let now I'm curious. The Ori and the Blind Forest. I got two versions of it. Never played it. I've installed. It's installed. I haven't played it. I only bought it because I heard it's really good, like really, really good. I hope you don't hear the rain. I close the window short quickly. Okay, that's a lot of rain. Uh, yeah, I also have games that I never played. I bought games that I played, and I'm like, ah, should not have bought it, but I have over 20 hours in it. Um, this is one of the smaller games I have. It's fun. I only have one problem with it, and that is the screen movement, which gives me a headache. So I can't really play it a lot, but it's a good game. And this one that I hate so much. Oh god, I hate you. Lara is hot, but I hate this game. Back to the video.
certainly there's going to be something in here that's going to delightfully surprise me. The hidden gem lottery is real. And I know people have bought games just
Yes?
to make their library a little bigger, and I understand that too. Listen, I've never been one for cosmetic microtransactions. I'm here to play the damn game, not dress up.
It depends. The thing is, if the game is free, unlike the games of Ubisoft, and if they only make the money with microtransactions, having cosmetics is completely fine. It's completely fine. You make your whatever character, vehicle, or whatever look different in a way that you like. I'm all for that. I'm fine with that completely. What I'm not fine is loot boxes. I don't like loot boxes, and I'm about to spend money on loot boxes for Path of Exile. Why? Because there's one thing that I won't have out of the loot boxes. And you can't get double the stuff out of these loot boxes, which is at least is something good. But yeah, so much for that. Yeah, cosmetics, I'm completely fine for a free-to-play game. Completely. 100%. What I'm not fine is if you can pay for stuff that actually gives you an advantage. But then I'm a Westerner. The East Asians have no problem with that, which I can also understand because they have 70 hours work days, which I think is dumb. 70-hour work days only work if you basically work from home, because that's 10 hours per day, which is fine if you are basically working from home, because that's what we did back in the day. It works, but it's different work than, sitting in an office for 12 hours and then have to commute for 2 hours one way. That's too much. How are you supposed to have a family that way? You can't. You literally can't. Which is one reason why the birth rate in South Korea and Japan are so bad. They just don't have the time.
My character. But why are we buying all these games we're not going to play if not to dress up our digital library? It turns out this seemingly irrational behavior isn't just us, it's baked into Valve's success. Chris Zukowski, that market analyst I mentioned earlier, he put it bluntly. He said, if Steam shoppers were rational and only bought games they were going to play, we would sell a lot fewer games. Half this
Yes.
industry would be gone. Irrational though it may be, it's also kind of wholesome in a way. Like I said, sometimes we just want to be delightfully surprised by a hidden gem. And if we get that hit of dopamine, we're going to recommend that game to.
Yes. And by the way, I like the art style of this game. It's interesting. I have no idea what the name. Oh, it's Pizza Tower. That's the name. It looks interesting from an art style. Now, I don't think it's a game that I would like to play. While when I look at the gameplay, it doesn't seem to be something that I would enjoy. But I 100% think that the art style is very interesting. Like, very interesting. It looks unique, which is something that, no Ubisoft game did in the, I don't know, past 15 years, almost 20, which is quite funny when you think about how much money they put into their games.
A friend, and maybe we'll follow the game developer so we can find out when they make a next game. I don't know about you, but I love that feeling of finding a studio that makes amazing games that not a lot of people are talking about. Case in point.
Yes, that's why, for example, I have the game 83 on my wishlist, um, which is from kind of a new studio, but not really a new studio. It's an old studio that crumbled, and then I think it's now a new studio. Is it a new studio, or is it still an old studio that just doing it on their own now? I don't remember. But they did Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, which I have a couple, I think 500 hours in. Awesome game. Has some problems, but awesome game. And I will play that game even in early access. I will play it on stream, I will play it with viewers. Because I have actual trust in the developers that the game will be good. Which is rare. But I also have the same trust into grinding gear games. And that's basically the only two companies that I have that trust into.
My current obsession is Strange Scaffold, who focus on making really good AA games really quickly. So far, they're nailing it, and in different genres too. They have a TMNT Tactics game that is a banger. They have a first-person shooter called I Am Your Beast that's designed with speedrunning in mind and is heavily focused on beating your own and your friends' best times. And then they have El Paso Elsewhere, which plays like Max Payne, but with supernatural neo-noir elements that have you battling vampires. The point is, they're awesome.
The game looks interesting. Both, even the game before looks interesting. Because it doesn't look like, a modern AAA game. Because the modern AAA games all look the same. They all look the same. They all play the same. They are all the same games. And this looks different because it is. Fundamentally, it looks like a game that came out in 2000s, 20 years ago. And I think that makes it so interesting to look at least graphically. It looks interesting.
Go buy their games. I made this entire video just to convince you to buy their games, so just do it already. Nonetheless, that aside, I think we now have to address the elephant in the room, the Steam Deck. This entire backlog phenomenon seems deeply tied to the Steam Deck and really Valve's entire hardware strategy, including rumors about them working on a Steam console and Steam VR headset, and not in a nefarious way, just in a, oh, that makes sense kind of way. You know what I mean? Valve created the Steam Deck in part because there were employees that felt like, wouldn't it be cool if I could play my library on the go? And of course they
Yes.
felt that way. They're a bunch of busy grown-ups, possibly fathers and mothers like many of us are. So they
Yeah. I think one thing about the Blizzard employees is they're actually competent. I think Valve doesn't hire DEI people. People hiring only because of their skin color or what they have between their legs. Unlike, Blizzard and like General Activision and EA and Ubisoft, they hire people for their skin color and what they have between their legs. And that's why their games suck. Because they hire people that are incompetent. They're literally incompetent.
didn't want to just play their games when tied to a desk. They wanted to play on a handheld to give themselves more freedom and really more time to play their back catalog of games. Steam Deck literally gives you back more time in the day to play games, which strengthens the notion that you'll have time someday to play your pile of shame, the ever growing list of games that you own but haven't played. And this kind of works in a symbolic way too. The Steam Deck shows that Valve is going to support your library of games even when other gaming companies don't. Steam OS says you can rely on Valve even when you can't rely on Windows.
Mm-hmm.
Proton says you can rely on Valve to make improvements to compatibility, even if you can't necessarily rely on the game devs to do so. Trackpads, capacitive sticks, gyro, back buttons, and Steam input as a whole say that you can rely on Valve to make great accessible controls, even when you can't rely on, say, XM and
That thing?
Valve to make great accessible controls, even
Come on, just that one shot.
when input as a whole say that you can rely on Valve to make great accessible controls, even
Oh, fuck's sake. I hate it. It looks better than it's not a V, the Switch, because it's big. I can actually grab it. If I use the controllers of the Nintendo Switch, I get cramps. It hurts my hands because the controllers are so tiny. They look like they are literally made for children. But I also know that they are made for Japanese people, and Japanese people are smaller. So my giant Aryan super hands are too big for that. But the perfect size to grab an Asian chick's nice little titties and Let's
And
continue.
when you can't rely on, say, X input. And the Steam Deck as a piece of kit, especially debuting when it did, showed that you can rely on Valve for an affordable piece of gaming hardware even when the likes of Nvidia are gouging you because AI is what is currently catching the interest of shareholders. I'm not saying that Valve is actually looking out for your best interest. It just seems to be one of the few companies that acknowledges that your interests and their interests are aligned. Public companies often bend to the will of shareholders, but with Valve, you, the purveyor of digital games, are the true and only customer. We've talked about how this makes Valve a boatload of money, but how much money is it truly? Well, it was recently revealed that Valve's profit per employee from Steam commissions alone is estimated to be $3.5 million per employee, at least as of 2021. This comes from leaked documents in a court case between Valve and Wolfire Games. This amount is significantly higher than the likes of Facebook and Apple, whose numbers are 780,000 and 400.
Yes, but there's a reason for that. Facebook and Co. They hire people because of their gender and stuff like that. So these people they add no value to the company, but still have to get paid. But because they don't add any value to the company, because they don't do anything that's valuable, you can't pay them as much because they're just a drag on the entire company. Valve doesn't have that problem. It's as simple as that.
76,000 per employee, respectively. The leaked document has since been pulled offline, and broadly it warrants a grain of salt, but it reportedly shows that Steam's commission revenue grew from around $100 million in 2009 to $2 billion in 2021, including an operating profit of about $1.2 billion from Steam alone. With just 336 Valve employees at the time, that brings the profit per head calculation to $3.5 million. Naturally, this calculation has two sides to it, the profit and the number of employees. It's probably safe to say that viewers of this channel are broadly well versed in the business of Valve, and we know that Valve operates very lean. Often this is for the better, but at times you can see the flip side of this as Valve employees are often pulled in different directions, and as a result, it often feels like Valve moves really slowly, including when it comes to SteamOS and especially when it comes to game development. This is probably where my strongest criticisms of Valve stem from, especially in scenarios where it gives them plausible deniability to otherwise questionable behavior. Take, for example, the recent criticism from a Bellular News video. This video gives two examples where companies that make a lot of money are breaking Steam's terms of service and are not being punished by Valve. These
Uh-huh.
scenarios make it reasonable to ask the question, are they not getting punished because they're receiving preferential treatment, as Bellular News is alluding to, or is this just Valve not getting around to it because they've got so much going on and so few employees? Either way, these
That might
actions could
also be a
jeopardize some of the
possibility.
trust that Valve has built up with us. One of the scenarios that Bellular points out is billion-dollar company Nexon hosting what they called a review event where they essentially bribed users to leave Steam reviews, an act that is strictly forbidden by Steam's Teams of Service, but had so far gone unpunished. Gone unchecked, this could
Yeah,
cause players to lose.
I mean, how would Steam punish the billion-dollar company by not having their game on Steam? Uh, uh, I, I mean, they could, but no, they can't. What they could do is turn off user reviews for the game. They could do that. That might work. But how else would you punish the game without it backfiring at you? Because if you put all the Nexon games off Steam, the Steam users would get angry because now they don't have access to the game over Steam. You see where the problem is? So yeah, how would you do that?
trust in Steam user reviews the way that we've lost trust in Amazon reviews or mobile app store reviews. Now, I don't think Valve will ever let that happen since it undermines the backlog model after all, but no company is perfect, and this just shows that Valve's lean, decentralized structure leads to both unique drawbacks as well as unique benefits. Certainly, Valve has room for improvement, but it's safe to say that I prefer Valve's operating philosophy over those of their competitors. Would we have the Steam Deck without Valve's decentralized structure leading employees to try to solve the personal problem of playing their extensive backlog away from their desk? Would
Most likely not. Most likely not.
Valve still be content with us just building our backlogs and not subscribing monthly if their interests were divided between customers and shareholders, similar to typical AAA gaming companies? Obviously, Valve's model is working for them, but it's working for me too. Will I ever have time to play my ridiculous backlog? No. But do I regret all of those purchases? Not yet. What about you?
Not until you actually would need the money. Yeah, good video. Good video. Yeah, I like this one. It was really actually looking into it and made me think about, how good Steam is, how good Valve as a company is. And it's all down to Gabe Newell. Gabe Newell. And I fear the day he dies. Because that will be possibly the day Valve and Steam dies. Or starts to die. I mean, they already tried to destroy it. I mean, not the people in Valve, but people from the outside that don't like the freedom that Valve gives. They try to destroy it. Using the payment processors. We are back at that again. Okay. So by the way, if you like this video, give it a like. If you want to watch more of this kind of content, subscribe. And let me know in the comments what you think about this video.